Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris, I am your host, and I'm super excited to be back here having the conversation with you. Episode 132 today, and we're diving into an interesting article that I came across just the other week called 10 Visuals That Will Teach You More Than a 300-Page Self-Help Book. Now, I've read quite a lot of books over the last couple of years. When I say read, I listen to them usually when I'm running, a whole big range of them, and there's been some really good ones. And a lot of them that I tend to really like are the self-help books. Something that, it teaches you something that you didn't really know about yourself, but it gives you good clarity of maybe that's why you did what you did. I think those books are really good because it gives you a perspective of self-awareness. Now, in this article that I found, and I'm going to put the link and, who wrote it and all that jazz in the show notes, it come from a guy called Harsh Darje. And I find this on Medium, and if you're not on Medium, there's some really good small pieces of, there's some regular writers, but people do smaller snippets of writing, and I find that they're actually just a bit more easier to digest. Anyway, I digress. So we're talking about 10 visuals that will teach you more than a 300-page self-help book, and there are 10 visuals. I am going to share these on screen, and look, again, I found this, and I think this is really good. I've done a brief little overview myself and had a look through and say, I think this is a great way to have a great conversation and share back to myself, but also share back to you. And at the end of the day, we're here to further your lifestyle. That's what we're here to talk about. And I think these are some really powerful and very important illustrations and also some quotes or statements that I think is going to challenge the way you think. So we're going to dive into it now. Let's get into it. Alright, so number one, diving straight into this, is you can either make yourself or break yourself. And look, I think this one, it speaks volumes for itself because, and I've been saying it over the last couple of weeks, is we are our own worst enemy. A lot of the time, we are the ones that cause us to slow down, cause us to stop, cause us to not get what we want because we self-sabotage. We put things in place, or we do things thinking that it's going to be productive when really we're just being we're just procrastinating. I'm speaking from my own experience here. And if we have a mission of where you want to be, you tend to take on side projects that distract you, that make you feel like you're getting to where you want to go, but it's not actually relevant. And I tend to do that a lot. And the key here is to actually identify and whack it straight off the cuff when you identify it, so that you can get back into focus mode of where you want to be. And look, it doesn't go into any detail here, but we tend to do things to ourselves which causes things to not go as planned, and then we're surprised, well, why aren't things going as planned? And look, I'm not here to say that everything that we do is going to cause us to not get to where we want to be, but what I'm saying is sometimes because it's due to the fear of success, or the fear of failing, or the fear of what people will think, or the fear of hard work, or you're too lazy, or you don't want to do it, or what if you disappoint someone. So there's so many things there that we start to think about, and then it becomes easier to self-sabotage or easier to do something that's going to destroy you. And that's why we can either make ourselves or break ourselves. You have to be accountable and you have to be responsible for your life. And I think there's going to be a lot of these in this one. Number two, there are plenty of difficult obstacles in your path. Don't allow yourself to become one of them. It's basically the same stuff. And this visual is very interesting because there's 4 straight lines of pillars. Now, if you're listening to this, I'll just, obviously explain it. But there's 4 straight lines, which obviously 4 lanes of where you can be going forward. But then there's one on the left-hand side where it's actually an L shape. So you've got all 4 pillars going straight up, but then you've got one that covers all the others, like arches over it, and it stops you from getting what you want. We need to get out of our own way. And this kind of comes back to the same point that I just said before, is sometimes we self-sabotage, or sometimes we do things because it's going to become a procrastination of us actually doing the hard thing that we have to do to get to where we want to be. A good example of this is confrontation. You got to have a conversation with someone, or you've been scared to talk about it, or you've been avoiding it. A lot of the time when you just have the conversation, it usually turns out fine and it resolves it, but we're just scared. And the amount of delay we bring upon ourselves, and the things that we can't work through because we delay in doing something, it holds ourselves it holds ourselves back, and we need to get out of our way, do what, makes us feel uncomfortable, and grow. It's that simple. Number 3 is do it alone. You've got this. And the illustration is a flowchart, and it says, I want to do this. And then it's got 2 options: do it, or it's like, but no one will help me. And then it says, well, do it alone. And I think this is a key point, because unfortunately, in this day and age, even though we have so much opportunity and the ability to do things with ease by ourselves, people want people to do the work for them. And I'm not talking about, paying someone else to do it for you. That, that's, if you want to delegate or whatever. But what I'm saying is, people don't want to do the hard work, but they want all the results. And you either have to do it, or you have to do it alone. And most of the time it's exactly the same. The difference is, doing it, you're just moving forward. Doing it alone, you've thought about it, but no one's here to help me. So you have to own it that you're doing it alone. And then the time will come where people will ride with you. It's that old saying, it's like, build it and people will come. Sometimes we have to know when to call it. But as we grow and it's building a community. Even you here listening to this, whether you're here on YouTube or on the podcast, like on audio, when I first started, I didn't have any listeners, but now I have regular listeners, right? And I appreciate all the comments, and I appreciate the messages. And now I don't do it alone. But when I started, I was doing it alone. Number 4 is momentum is the key to growth. Keep moving. So this visual, there's 4 triangles, and there's a circle with these triangles. The first one is, the plan is to move, and there's a triangle, and the circle is inside the triangle. And then you've got move out, move up, and move on. And you've got the circle outside the triangle on the left-hand side. And then to move up, the circle goes to the top of the triangle. And then to move on, it goes onto the other side of the triangle. And essentially what we're trying to say here is, moving is the key. Momentum is the key. And making that step forward. I mean, this is all coming back to the same stuff that we're talking about, is getting out of our way, making sure that we are enabling ourselves to make it happen, or to take action, or to grow. And as we take a step forward, we can then learn what's the next step, and then we can move up, or we can move on. And the plan is to be moving. If you don't have momentum, you can't be moving. So start making the movement. Number 5 is, find the courage to take that first step and trust yourself to figure things out as you keep walking. And the visual here is like, it's a faded couple of dotted lines, and each faded line is a word, and it goes, start walking and the path will appear. And the more the sentence goes across, the brighter the line becomes. And that's true. It's basically another way of saying, get moving. And coming back to the whole point of like, doing it alone, or I don't know where to start. Well, everyone starts from zero. It's like when you're a kid and you don't know how to walk. You take a step forward, you fall over. Next time you do it, you've taken 3 steps. Next time you do it, you've taken 10 steps. You might fall over though, but then you do it again. It's simple stuff, really. Like, it does really frustrate me when people come to me and they're like, how do I do it? And, I would love to say that there is some quick way of making things happen. But the quick way to make things happen is to do things constantly over a period of time. Because, it's been nearly 3 years since I started this, and this is the progress I've made. I could have done more, I could have done less, but the fact is, I've done what I've done to get me to where I am today. So if you do nothing in 3 years, you will have nothing in 3 years. If you do something every day for the next 3 years, you'll have progress, you'll have momentum, and you will figure things out, and things will get easier, things will grow, things will change. It's that simple. Number 6 is, be proud that you showed up today. It has a positive repercussion. And then there's a dotted line, empty space on the dotted line. And then at the end, there's a square, and it says, I hope you're proud of yourself for showing up today. And what it's saying is, like, you might show up each day and you don't see the result, but then one day you show up, which is today, and the box is full. And that's because everything you've been doing leading up to this point has come to full tuition, right? Is that the right word? It basically comes to full potential. And then you start again and you move on to the next thing. And then you keep showing up, and that bar will get higher. That ability to grow, that knowledge, that experience, that understanding, the ability to make decisions, to execute, to take action, to, have confidence. it all starts to compound, right? And that's why you should be proud of showing up each day, because there comes a time where all snowballs effect. It has that snowball effect, and things get momentum, and things start to roll, and things get bigger and better and faster, and next thing you know, you're where you thought you would be, but you're there quicker. Number 7, you learn more by doing and not by thinking. This is a good one, and the visual here is a big circle, and it has learning in the middle of it, and then there's a line below, probably about 10% of the bottom of the circle, and then at the bottom of the line it says thinking and doing. And what it's kind of saying is, like, doing is where you're going to learn. Thinking is really just kind of like the cream of the top of just maybe how you're going to go about applying it. Now, I'm a big thinker, but I've, in the last couple of years, I've learned that doing will always get me further, because you learn on the fly. I see thinking as like strategy. You got to have somewhat of a plan, but the plan is pointless if you're not doing anything with it, if you're not adapting, if you're not learning with it, if you're not trying it, testing it. So you can have the best plan. You can have an amazing strategy. You can calculate as much as you want, forecast, but if you're not doing anything to see the results, to see the progress, to see the momentum, then you're not learning anything, because all you're doing is it's all basically just made up ideas or theory or philosophy. It's until you've put it into action, then you have truth or reality of result. Number 8 is your time is coming, so be patient. And then there's this visual where it says late bloomers still bloom, and it's got circle, 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 and then the last circle has a flower. And it's coming back to the same thing of you got to keep showing up. You got to not think that things aren't working. And sometimes it's about catching a break. But there's two parts to this, right? You can't expect to sit around, do nothing, and then things just fall into your lap. That's not what we're saying. What I'm saying is, yes, you're going to have to make progress. You're going to have to be working on making progress. And then eventually, things will pick up pace. Things will take off. Now, at the same time, you do have to tweak. You still have to adjust. You can't, if you keep banging your head against a wall, you can't expect a different result, right? That's insanity, right? If you're doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, it's just not going to happen. You need to be doing, yes, applying the same approach, going into it, tackling it, trying to solve the problem, trying to get more sales, or trying to run faster, or trying to learn this, or trying to paint a picture, or whatever it is. And as you do it, as you apply it differently, as you take on a new method, as you apply more knowledge, experience, understanding, things then start to change. Things start to grow, and you will bloom. Number 9 is be yourself unapologetically. And then the visual is 3 bar graphs. Being someone else, and it's half full. Being yourself is full. But being proud of yourself, it's endless. And I think this really comes down to conviction and really understanding your self-awareness and understanding being your best self. Bring your best self. Now, you can try to be someone else, but you'll never have your full potential, and you'll never be as good as them because you aren't them. You can be yourself and, I guess hide the fact that you're comfortable with yourself. So hide the fact that you're not comfortable with yourself. So, it's like I can come up here, and when I first started this podcast, I was doing it. I was trying to be myself, but I was nervous. I was uncomfortable because I'm like, what if people don't like this? What about tall poppy syndrome? Or what if maybe I'm not good? Who am I to talk about these things? So I was still being myself, but I wasn't necessarily owning it, and I wasn't proud of it. Now I'm 100% proud of it, right? And I've got no shame. I don't care. Like, I'm doing this. When I first started, people were like, you're going to do that? Are you going to make money selling on eBay? Are you going to... It's my livelihood now. It's what I do. And I own it. And, I've seen the progress that I've wanted to see, but I still have more ambition. But I'm proud of this. Therefore, it takes off the pressure. It takes off the stress. Sure, there's still stressful times, and there's still pressure of time of when things aren't going to plan. But I wouldn't have changed it. No regrets. And I think that's what separates us, is we can't be someone else. We need to be ourselves, but we need to be proud of ourselves and what we can do. Number 10 is don't give up on the person you are becoming. And there's 3 visuals here. It's got don't give up, and it's a dotted circle. On the person is like a bit more dotted line circle, and then you're becoming, and then it's a full circle. So don't give up on the person you're becoming. And again, it comes back to the full, it's basically wraps up everything that we've just spoken about. Is as time passes, will you progress? Will you put in action? Will you take steps forward? Will you have momentum? Will you trust the process? Will you believe in yourself? Will you, enable yourself to give it time? Will you put in the action? Will you not just think, but do? Will you continue to walk the path and figure it out? Will you continue to move forward, move up, move on? All these things come together as one, whether you're doing it alone or not. All these things will help create who you are and who you will become. And if you want to be something in the future, you need to start working towards that today, right? You can't wake up and you have everything, but you wake up and you work towards everything that you want. And this comes back to another episode that I did about, when is enough enough? Because sometimes we get to where we think we want to be, but then it's not enough. So you have to be realistic about this. Is like, if it's chasing a number, that number will always change. But if you're chasing a lifestyle or a happy feeling, or, the ability to have freedom of time, to be able to do things, lack of, things controlling you, then that's, you've got to work toward. You have to create that, right? So don't give up on the person you're becoming or want to be, but you have to keep moving forward. So a lot of the same stuff here. And look, I haven't really, he's got 300 other visuals apparently. Now, I haven't seen them myself, but the whole purpose of this was, I like seeing these different articles because it brings different perspective. It gives other people's understanding of how they view the world, or how they see the world, or what they've acquired, what information they have, and it's all about really mindset. And when we get out of our heads, when we get out of our own way, which is what this is really all about, we can start to make massive progress. And a lot of the time it's because we delay things. We don't want to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and your comfort zone will expand, and the things you thought you couldn't do, you will be doing. And I know I talk about this stuff like it's easy. It's not easy. It's a click moment of, expectation versus reality. The expectation is we want all these things. The reality is, okay, so go do all the things to get those results that you want. And trust the process. And it's okay. Things are going to be roller coaster. You'll have bad days. You'll have really, really bad days, but you're going to have really good days. Now, if you're doing it alone, document it, share it, journal it, make something out of it, right? I mean, this all comes back to you. This episode is about us individually. There's stuff here that I need to look at and work on and see, jeepers, I need to have that conversation, or I just need to start doing that action and stop, stuffing around. What do you need to do? Which one stood out to you? My action for you, or my call to action for you, is to go through this and identify 1 to 3 out of the 10 that you really need to work on, or what really stuck out to you. Let me know in the comments below. Would really love to continue the conversation. What stuck out to you? Where do you need to improve? And how are you going to go about improving it? You can hit me up on socials. You can hit me up on YouTube in the comment section, or if you're here listening via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I do have speakpipe.com/further your lifestyle. You can jump over there, leave a voicemail, and we can connect that way. Otherwise, this is the episode for the week. I think there's a lot we can take from this, and it comes down to you now listening, hearing this. I've given you the opportunity, the vessel to go apply some of this. That's on you now. So I'm going to sign out. Appreciate you being here. You have a wonderful day. Cheers.